Hey guys, welcome to the afternoon portion of National Small Business Week 2014. We are so glad that you're here. We hope you're having a great time and learning a ton. My name is John Spears and I'm the Director of Clusters and Skills Initiatives here at SBA. And we have a great afternoon planned for you. Today we're going to be presenting awards for our small business winners for each of the 50 states, as well as the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and Guam. This is an amazing group of companies when you think about it. They're creating jobs in their communities, they're innovating new cutting-edge products, and they're at the forefront of our economic comeback. But before we get to our keynote address this afternoon, I'd like to welcome Laura Miller from our presenting sponsor, Chase, to the stage to deliver a few remarks. Laura?
Well, good afternoon to everyone in the room, and good morning, especially for all of those that are watching us live. It is such an honor to be here with all of you today, especially at the culmination of this really phenomenal event. And I speak for everyone at Chase when I say we could not be more proud of being a part of the partnership with the Small Business Administration to celebrate you in this week. Clearly, Chase really understands the economic power of small businesses. It's huge and still growing, and it's such a big part of the U.S. Did you know that there are almost 30 million small businesses in the U.S.? And about half of all American workers are employed by small businesses. Over the past 20 years, more than 60%, that's 60% of new jobs were created by small businesses. And nearly 40% of high-tech, new evolving industry, high-tech employment is with small businesses. Phenomenal numbers and statistics to be very, very proud of, and you are all a part of that. As you know, small businesses are vital to the local communities that we all live in and work in, and many of our employees at Chase are really impacted and supported and surrounded by small businesses, whether it's family, friends, customers, and even where they do business. We have 5,500 branches around the country to help small businesses do that business and to be present in local and the communities. And we pride ourselves on being able to be a significant resource opportunity for small businesses nationwide. And that means much more, but at a minimum extending $19 billion of new credit in 2013 and over $55 billion in the last 3 years alone. But our commitment to small businesses goes beyond the numbers and the statistics. It's really about being a trusted partner for all small businesses and being a part of the journey with you. After all, I always like to say all businesses start out small. Even the Apples and the Facebooks were once small businesses. Let's take an example, Vineyard Vines. The founders of this apparel company had a vision, and they really wanted to work with a partner who could help see that vision and help take their business to the next level. Chase has been excited to join them on their journey, where they started selling ties, just simply ties from Martha's Vineyard, and now they're selling a wide variety of clothing and accessories all over the U.S. We are enjoying growing and evolving with them as their business becomes more complex, and we can't wait to see where they go next. Maybe the next small business success like Vineyard Vines is one of you here in the room today. Now it's my honor, we always want to recognize those who have really done a great job in being a best practice and a role model for small businesses. So I'm going to highlight a couple shining stars for all of you today. The first is Amir Varshovi. He is president of Gainesville, Florida-based Green Technologies. They provide environmentally sound farming and fertilizing products. Amir has grown his business to a 25-acre manufacturing facility that hires disadvantaged and homeless employees in times of heavy volumes. Talk about giving back to the community. He immigrated from Iran and worked several jobs through college to get educated and to get his business off the ground, something to be very, very proud of. Lakeisha Grant, she's the CEO of Virtual Enterprise Architect, LLC. She's based right here in our nation's capital, and she identified a need to deliver consistent IT capabilities. And she invested $11,000 of her own personal savings to make this happen. Virtual Enterprise Architect, I'm proud to say, is currently the 15th fastest growing IT services company in the US. What a star story that is. And Cynthia Reed, CEO of Mesa, Arizona. It's my hometown, based MiraCorp. Cynthia started a consulting firm providing general and administrative services to companies including the federal and the vet services. And she's grown her business from a bedroom office to 122 employee operation. What a phenomenal business that is. And think about all the new jobs she put back into the communities. Speaking of vets, helping veterans is something very close to our hearts at JP Morgan Chase, and we recently announced a $20 million pledge over the next 5 years to U.S. military veterans and their families. The pledge is in support of the Philanthropy Joining Forces Impact Pledge. It's a new collaborative effort of the White House's Joining Forces Initiative, and well worth the mention today as we sit in our nation's capital. For me personally, why am I so passionate to work with small businesses? You know, it's a wonderful question, and it's one that I'm so proud to answer, and that is small businesses provide a tangible impact to our communities, to their families, and to the U.S. economy. And being a part of small businesses allows me to see that and be a partner of that evolution and help make sure it continues to grow and be a big part of what we do here in America. And as a woman, I truly enjoy seeing women business owners succeed and become such an integral part of the small business growth. It's great, actually, to see a lot of women out there in the audience today. Very proud of the women small business owners. Let's take S. Bryles Johnson, for example. She is the director of the Women's Business Center of North Carolina and winner of the 2014 Women's Business Center of Excellence Award. So congratulations, S. Bryles. She has ensured the success and growth of women-owned small businesses through important services, consulting, training, resources. Really talk about giving back to your community. That promote economic self-sufficiency for women across North Carolina through entrepreneurship, allowing people to give back to their community and realize their dreams. So these are just a small example of some of the unbelievable work being done by small businesses, being done by many of you here in the room and across the nation. Very, very proud to say thank you to all of you. I think we can all stand in awe of the inventive, the creative, and all the hard work being done every single day by small businesses. Thank you very much for your passion, for your momentum, and for helping be a really great part of what makes this economy fabulous. So thank you very, very much for us having the opportunity to partner with you and for allowing us to be here today with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Next, I'd like to introduce our keynote discussion for today, which features Jim Koch, who is the founder and the chairman of the Boston Beer Company. Though Mr. Koch comes from a long line of brewmasters, he found his path to entrepreneurship only after a joint JD and MBA from Harvard University and a career in consulting. In 1983, he decided to strike out on his own. Mr. Koch founded the Boston Beer Company using an old family recipe, some money he had in savings, and some additional capital that he raised from family and friends. The first beer they brewed became known as Sam Adams Boston Lager. I'm sure you've enjoyed it. I have as well. 20 years later, the Boston Beer Company has grown into one of the leading craft breweries in the United States. They generate over $600 million in annual revenue and brew over 20 varieties of beer. But despite their growth, the company maintains the same get-the-job-done attitude and commitment to their customers that they had on day one. We're very, very excited to have Mr. Koch here with us today. He'll be joined on stage by SBA Assistant Administrator Fred Baldassaro, who has a few questions prepared for him. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jim and Fred to the stage.
Thanks, John. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Small Business Week, the Friday day, the moment we've all been waiting for, the time for the winners to be announced. And I think you're already about ready to celebrate, aren't you?
I said I'd do this. I didn't say I'd do it like dead sober.
Well, I'm glad you could enjoy it. As soon as this is over, I plan to partake with you.
Good. I hate drinking alone.
I have the best job in this week. Yesterday, I got to talk about pizza, and today I'm getting to talk about beer. So we're doing this right this week. Jim, welcome to National Small Business Week. It's great to have you here. And as someone who's originally from Boston, I know all about Sam Adams. I've been watching these commercials for years, so I'm really glad to meet you finally in person and talk about your product and give some advice to some of these entrepreneurs. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Well, there are many. I think a good first question would be, there are many beers out there. How did you know that you could make the best beer, and how did you get started?
Well, you have to go back 30 years to when I started. So this was 1983, 1984, and at that point, the American beer landscape was completely different than today. It was basically a wasteland. You really had, as a beer drinker, you had two choices. You could get the mass-produced American beers, which are quite good for what they are. They're not trying to be big, rich, flavorful beers. They're trying to be very easy to drink, clean, consistent, relatively inexpensive. So that was one choice. And then if you wanted something better, you had to turn to an import. And I came from a brewing family, and I knew that beer is perishable. Beer is not like wine. Beer is liquid bread. It's only good for about 4 months, and the imported beers were typically stale, often skunky because they were in green and clear bottles, which makes beer light-struck and turns it skunky. So there really wasn't an alternative that was rich, flavorful beer delivered fresh. So it was just this huge, opportunity. And I thought, well, what if I made really good beer? I'll bet there's somebody out there besides me who will drink it. Now, I didn't have a big plan. When I started, I put $100,000 of my own money, and another $140,000 from friends, relatives, drinking buddies that were enticed as much by the promise of free beer for life.
Is that promise still good?
Yes, it is. As more than maybe return on their investment. And my plan, and it's embarrassing today, because I'm like the most overeducated guy that ever made beer, and I should have known how to do like a business plan. So my business plan was that after 5 years we would grow to $1 million in revenue, 5,000 barrels of beer, 8 people, and then it would level off. And I was totally wrong, but luckily in the right direction.
Was it a help or a hindrance to you that your family had been in the brewing business before?
It was a little bit of both, because, as I mentioned, I'm the 6th oldest son in a row in my family to be a brewer. So I had this long brewing tradition, actually longer than any other family in the United States. And but my family's experience with making beer was not that happy or successful. My father was a brewmaster. He got out of brewmaster school in 1948, and there were nearly 1,000 breweries, local, regional breweries all across the United States. And that was 1948. When I started Sam Adams 36 years later, that 1,000 had dwindled down to 50. Because as you see in a lot of businesses, the big guys just used their economies of scale, their size, their efficiency, their mass production, their mass marketing to drive out the little guys. So I thought my dad would be really happy that I was going to go back into the beer business, and he wasn't at all. He looked at me and he said, "Jim, you've done some stupid things in your life. This is just about the stupidest." So I can't say that he was totally supportive in the beginning, but he did kind of grudgingly accept the fact that I was going to do this. And the good part was he took me up into the attic. We looked into this trunk, this old trunk that had a bunch of car magazines on top because my dad loved cars. And then underneath it, he had his course material from brewmaster school on these yellow mimeographed pieces of paper, and then some family recipes. And he gave me several of them, but the one that he picked out as the best recipe we had was originally called Lewis Cook Lager because my great-great-grandfather made it. That's what's in these glasses. So I guess it really did help.
So from talking to you and talking to your staff, over the last few months about this interview, it seems like you knew how to make a good product. You didn't know how to market it. You didn't know how to raise the money. How did you figure those things out, and what advice would you have for the folks here that are trying to do the same?
I guess in terms of raising the money, I kind of skinnied the business down to what resources I could come up with. So when we started, the company was 2 people. It was me and a woman named Rhonda Kalman, who was extremely talented, sort of the secret story behind Boston Beer Company. And Rhonda had been my secretary at Boston Consulting Group. And BCG had a lot of very qualified people. Rhonda was exceptionally qualified because not only could she juggle the demands of 7 hyper crazy management consultants, but she tended bar at night. And that was the key skill. Rhonda knew bars. A bar was like Rhonda's natural habitat. And you combine that with energy, intelligence, and just raw drive, which we all see in small business. It's a pretty common element that, small business, it creates opportunities that are quite different from big business. And what I recognized, in my first hire, Rhonda, was that in the United States we talk about meritocracy and opportunity for everybody, but in a large part of the economy, it's ruled by a caste system. It's not meritocratic. It is a caste system based on your education and the opportunities that allowed you to have that education. And it was very stark at Boston Consulting Group. You had these high-paid, MBAs from the best business schools. And then you had somebody like Rhonda, who had an associate's degree in secretarial science. And had I picked as a first hire / partner one of those high-powered MBAs, I would never have gotten the energy, the drive, the creativity that Rhonda brought to it. She had a different experience set than I did. She knew people, she knew bars, she knew what it was like to be kind of at the bottom of the totem pole, because we didn't do any marketing. We didn't have a marketing person for 10 years. I'm not a big believer in marketing, and most small businesses succeed without it. What we had was sales. And we went out and sold. We went from bar to bar with cold beer and a sleeve of cups, and we just did street selling. And Rhonda built our sales force because she didn't have a big fancy degree. She didn't expect to be treated well based on her caste system. She identified with everybody, from the bar back to the owner, and built rapport. I learned that by watching Rhonda do it. And that was really, that sales drive, not the marketing, was what made Boston Beer Company what it is. And to this day, we have we're still a small business. We have 1% market share. 30 years of working my tail off has gotten us to 1% of the beer business. And I'm proud of that. We started, we were like infinitesimal, and then we graduated to invisible, and then we finally got to tiny. And after 30 years, we've made it to small. So
Congratulations.
I'm proud to be here.
I do want to talk about people and what it means for your business, but before I do, when the first bar, and I think the first bar was in Jamaica Plain, correct?
Well, there were, there's kind of a lot of people that were the first bar for Sam Adams. It's probably, there's probably a lot of people that think they gave Paris Hilton her first kiss. So, or claim it. So there's like a bunch of them. Like there was the first place it was served, the first draft account, whatever. But yeah, whatever.
So how did you know, and what happened to your business when you had to scale up? So someone wants to buy the product. Now what do you do? What did you have to do to take those steps? Because I think there's probably a lot of folks here that, like, they might get a contract with a big business or be part of a supply chain. What were the tips that you had to get going to start to ramp up the business a bit?
Well, we were very lucky in that we were able to grow bit by bit. I mean, it was crazy. We were growing 30 to 60% a year, but that happened every year. So, it was part of our just culture of this kind of, constantly growing. But it never like exploded. We never like got a big contract and tripled or anything like that. And so we were able to be very attentive to me, the things that are still my job. I've shed a lot of things that I used to do when we were little. I don't have to drive the damn forklift anymore and deliver cases of beer into those, basements in Faneuil Hall with 4-foot ceilings, and I'm thankful for that. But today, to me, there's two things that I pay attention to, which to me are kind of crucial to successful growth. And those two things are maintaining the quality of the product and the culture of the company. And I do believe that if we maintain and continually upgrade the quality of our product, because this beer in my glass today is a noticeably better beer than the Sam Adams from 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. So there's this constant drive for, not just good enough, but better, better, better. And that's important in the product quality, because it's America, there's competition. People are always trying to, copy Sam Adams and emulate it, and you got to stay ahead. And the second is the culture that got us there. So those are the things that I think have enabled us to grow really pretty smoothly. We've never had like any big crises of growth or, something where I couldn't sleep at night.
About the people, what are you looking for in an employee? And how do you keep them on board? And if quality is so important, how are you working with them to make sure that the product is at the level you want it to be as you grow?
Well, I think, one of the things I learned early on was that they don't teach at Harvard Business School is it's all people. Everything happens by, with, or through people. Nothing just happens on its own. Mm-hmm. And small businesses know that because we have to actually get things done. We're not sitting in some big office, pretending to pull the levers and delegating. We actually have to get things done, and you very early see that it's all people. So we've spent a lot of time and attention on that. Maybe, it looked like overspending at the time. I think our 11th employee was a full-time recruiter. I mean, we were growing, so we were hiring, at that point, I remember telling her, she was the 11th person, we were gonna grow 50% that year, I thought, so we needed to hire 6 more people. And I said, your job, Fabian, is to hire 6 great people, 1 every 2 months. And that's gonna be harder than it sounds, because our standards are very high. We have a very simple hiring standard that is, we've had it since day one, which is never hire someone unless they raise the average for the company. So that's very demanding. It means that we've had jobs open sometimes for quite long periods of time because we couldn't find somebody who was better than the average person that we had doing that job. And that's it sounds insane, but I think what happens in companies as they grow, you start out with the founders, the leaders, the entrepreneurs, and on a scale of 1 to 10, you've got 8s, 9s, maybe a 10. And then the company grows and needs to hire people, and the 8s, 9s, and 10s start hiring 7, 8s, and 9s. And then the 7, 8s, and 9s hire, 5, 6s, and 7s. And it's okay because they're all above average, but they're lowering the average for the company. And then eventually those, 5, 6s, and 7s start hiring some 3s and 4s and 5s. Often what I think of as desperation hires, like we need somebody to do this job. We've been looking for 2 months, 3 months. We got to just hire the best person that we can find. And we don't allow ourselves to do that. I think our record for hiring, it was a salesperson in Arizona. It took us 18 months to hire that person. Now, her name's Andrea. That was 15 years ago. Andrea's still with us today. So was it worth waiting a year and a half to hire somebody who's going to be with you for 15 years and just gets better and better? We've promoted her 4 times. Absolutely. So we've been very careful about hiring. We've developed processes around it. Our theory is we don't hire experience, we don't hire education, we don't hire resumes. Those things are a dime a dozen. We hire motivations, values, behaviors. What is this person going to do when nobody's looking? So we've developed interview techniques. We have standardized questions that we ask them for different jobs. I mean, there's a right answer. It's for that question in that job. Different job might be a different right answer, but we've developed those over time. I actually believe that interviews, the standard person-to-person interview, you got to do it, and everybody relies on it, and that's a huge mistake. They give you very bad data. If you look at any of the research, it'll tell you that the interview process that everybody relies on and thinks, oh, I can tell a good person, you can't. Not in an hour, not in 2 hours. So for us, we've developed these standardized questions. We generally will bring them in for a day as kind of an audition, like, come in, do the job. Let's see how you behave when you're actually doing the job. And it works well both ways because we get, particularly, I mean, it's the beer business. Everybody's, oh, beer, that'd be so much fun. Selling beer, what a great job. I go from bar to bar. Well, then they come in and they find out that you're in the basement, you're lifting kegs, checking freshness dates. You don't go into the front of the restaurant when you're selling beer. You go into the back, and the floors are slippery and nobody speaks English and you get treated, like crap. And that sorts out people. And then we can watch how they behave. Do they accept that? How do they relate to the customers? That audition is much more valuable than a standard interview. And then we actually do a little quick test. It's called the predictive index. There's lots of them out there. But it's one thing that we've discovered is that, everybody has different motivational needs. Everybody enjoys different things. Some people are very social. They like interacting with people. Some of them are more quiet. They don't like interacting with people. Some people have patience. Some people don't have patience. Some people are very proactive and like to take initiative. Other people don't, et cetera, et cetera. And there's no good or bad person. It's all about fit. And, it's been my experience that if somebody genuinely enjoys and is motivated to do the things that are crucial to their success in a given job, life will be easy. But if they are not motivated to do the things, they don't enjoy doing the things that are going to make them successful in that job, life sucks. It's really hard. Yeah, it's a quick story, but this is, I think, an important point. I remember interviewing a guy for an accounting job, and I was looking at, his profile, and his name was Hank. I'm looking at his profile, and Hank had a high need to take initiative, a high need for social interaction, low patience, and low need for order and structure, and a lot of energy. And I was like, that's a terrible profile for an accountant. You don't want people, being creative accountants unless you're Enron, and you want them to not need social interaction because they're in a cubicle looking at a screen, and you want them to be patient, and you want somebody who enjoys order and structure. And Hank had none of those things, but he was a CPA. So I asked him, I said, Hank, do you like being an accountant? He said, no. Nobody's ever asked me that, but no. I said, well, why are you an accountant? He said, well, my dad was a CPA, told me I'd always have a good job if I got my CPA. And he was right. I've always, had a good job. I said, but you don't like it. And he said, no, I don't. Then I put the hook in and I said, you ever thought about selling beer? Because that was the perfect profile to sell beer. Takes initiative, likes being with people, low patience, doesn't need order and structure, high energy. It's like, you want to sell beer? And he said, maybe. Came back the next day and said yes. So long story short, we hired him. He was with us for 10 years, married another beer salesperson. They have their own sales training company now. Never went back to accounting. So I guess my point is resumes don't mean that much. What you're really hiring is a person. And that person is a set of values, motivations, behavioral traits, characteristics, and that's what we look for, is the right, and it's a fit. The same person, there's no good person for every job. You want the fit for the job.
I know we're going to take some questions from the audience in just 1 second, so I'll give you a chance to think about it. And I can't imagine you'll probably get a lot of questions, but can I have a beer? So we'll give people time to think of some other questions. But before we do, I know that
I'm
when
doing
you said,
the work up here. I get the beer.
I know that when you said you started out, you felt very alone, and you guys had started a philanthropic program. Can you talk about that? Because one of the ways I think that SBA and Sam Adams and the Boston Beer Company have come together is a little bit around this, and I thought it might be helpful to talk about this so folks can figure out if they can be a part of it too.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, it starts with, a belief, which I think small businesses share, that, we're very lucky to have our own businesses and to have the opportunities that we have. And we do live in a society and a community. And it just feels good to know that you're having a positive influence on your society and community. And we largely do that by creating, jobs that can often change people's lives, and creating great products that our customers not only, embrace, but show it by paying us money for it. And that's a great thing. And so I've always felt that there is that companies that recognize their social responsibilities and engage with their environment, their communities, are actually better businesses. They're just more alert to what's going on and just more creative and energetic about what they're doing if you're part of a community. So, and a lot of sort of corporate philanthropic activity is not really that useful. I mean, we're businesses. What we do best is we create value. We take 2 and 2 and we make it equal 5, or we make it equal 10, but we create value. And we, for a long time, really didn't pay that much attention to it. We were doing standard things. My epiphany was we took the management team out for this team building community event day where we went and painted a community center in our neighborhood. And everybody, felt really great about it and talked about how it was cool and what it was going to do for the community center in the neighborhood. And I felt really crummy about it. And I couldn't figure out why. I remember walking back to my car. I was like, why don't I feel good about this? And then I realized I just spent $15,000 worth of management time to do $3,000 worth of crappy painting. And that
that's not what a business does. A business creates value. So I determined that we were going to rethink our philanthropic endeavors and do something that was going to create real value for something that we believed in and knew about, which in this case turned out to be small business. So we developed a philanthropic program. It's called Sam Adams Brewing the American Dream program, and it has two components, both of which came out of my experience starting Sam Adams, and I'm sure everybody's experience here as a small business person. And there were two things that struck me that I really would have liked to have, but I just couldn't get. One of them was loan money. You know, instead of giving away parts of the company, it would have been nice to at least have some access to loan money, and nobody would loan me money when I started. It just was not possible. And the second was nuts and bolts business advice, because I made a lot of stupid mistakes. Because as a small business person, you're the CEO, but that does not mean chief executive officer. You don't have anybody to execute. You got to do it yourself. What you are is the chief everything officer. You got to do it all, and most of it's stuff, at least for me, I'd never done before. I mean, I have a Harvard MBA, a Harvard JD. I had 6.5 years of management consulting. You'd think I'd know something about business, but not really, because I go to start Boston Beer Company, and there's all this stuff I've never done before, where if it's really important to the success of the company, but I'd never done stuff like designed a label. I'd never done stuff like set up a payroll. I never procured hard to get ingredients like the hops that go into here. I'd never made a sales call before. I'd never tried to get into a chain or called on a big retailer. And all those things I was doing for the first time. Never negotiated a real estate lease. I was doing all that. And I did a lot of dumb things because it was the first time. It wasn't because I didn't know about business or because I was stupid. It was just, it was on-the-job training, which is really, really expensive. I thought a Harvard MBA was expensive. That was cheap compared to the stupid mistakes, $50,000, $100,000 mistakes that I made along the way. So the other component is coaching and counseling on nuts and bolts topics that we deliver through speed coaching. In the evening, we'll bring in 20, 25 experts in all those different topics that are relevant to small businesses in food, beverage, and hospitality. And people will sign up for the areas where they have a real need for 20 minutes of solid business advice, which can be incredibly powerful if it's focused and on topic. So those two components are the Brewing the American Dream program. We made over 300 loans, and we provided coaching and counseling to about 4,000 businesses. Those 300 loans, it's a little over $3 million, so the average size is about $10,000, and they have created or saved 2,000 jobs, which is way more than, we only have 1,100. So to me, that's leverage. And with the counseling part, the repayment rate on the loans is over 98%. That's how creditworthy. Small businesses are way more creditworthy than people think. It's actually not the creditworthiness. It's the costs that big banks and so forth have screening to find the good applicants, and then supporting and administering the loan and helping the business. But small businesses pay their debts.
I think we are going to take some questions to the audience. You're okay with that, right?
As long as I got my beer, man, I'm good.
So are there questions in the audience? And there's a mic in the corner over here. So let's take the question here in the center, and then we'll come over this way. And then down front.
Thank you. My name is Nick Mattiello. I currently run a catering company in Providence, Rhode Island. used to be a beer salesman. I used to sell against you. I commend you.
Mancini?
Mancini, yes,
Ah, you
that's
devil.
right. Providence Beverage. Good man.
You got a better job now.
I don't know. I question it sometimes. We have a lot of the same story that you have, and I think most businesses here pretty much have that same story. And working for the Mancini family, one thing I did learn, they kept getting bigger and bigger, and we're doing the same thing. We're getting bigger and bigger. Our biggest fear, excuse me, my biggest fear is being bought out by your competitor. Do you have that fear of being bought out by? I commend you because you took on Budweiser, Miller, Coors. You took on all the big guys. And no one was able to do that except you. But are you afraid of Budweiser coming in someday and giving you a ridiculous offer and you selling out?
Well, luckily, though, we are a public company. We're public in a unique way, a little bit more creative way, because there's two classes of shares, voting shares and non-voting shares. The non-voting shares are the publicly traded shares. The voting shares, I have all of them. So, to me, it's corporate democracy at its finest. We take a vote. I say yes, I say no. End of story.
Hi, Jim.
Hi.
First off, thank you for making my college life a little bit more enjoyable.
Glad you didn't waste those 6 years.
Yeah, thank you. My question is going to be about ethics, and it's top of my mind right now as I provide services to the healthcare industry, and there are just certain medical procedures that I just have a tough time balancing myself between a business person, a moral person, an ethical person. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people here that may struggle with that same question too as it relates to beer and alcohol and stuff. And you really impressed me as a very sincere and honest guy, you do. And I'm going to bet that you struggle with some of that as well. And I don't know, how do you when you make that call between the business, which grows, makes you more successful, is really working for your employees, make them more successful in lives, and it just goes on and on. But at times, you just speak to that.
Yeah.
Solve my problem.
Yeah, it does, happen sometimes. I mean, now luckily for me, I make beer, and all the medical and epidemiological evidence tells us that people who enjoy beer and other alcoholic beverages in moderation, 1 or 2 a day, every day, for a man, maybe more like 1 for a woman, will live longer. So, I mean, luckily, God punishes people who don't drink with early mortality. So, so we're kind of in the healthcare business together. But it does, kind of come up. I mean, there are times, there are real issues. I mean, to extend it, there are some people who make beers, flavored malt beverages type things that, I think are just horrible, and they sell really well, and we wouldn't make them. I mean, there's these 24-ounce cans of 12% alcohol flavored malt beverage. That's just way too much alcohol to put in something that you sell single serve to go in a convenience store. So, we've just never wanted to go anywhere near that kind of thing. That one's kind of obvious. It's a business opportunity, but it just sucks. So, I mean, there are other people that do it. They're good people, virtuous people. I know them. They're not like, pond scummer. They just have chose that as a business model. Okay, God bless you, but that's not our business model. And then I don't know. So those are easy. The hard ones are, I guess what I've done is like talk to other people in the company, and they have good moral compasses too. This is not to me, it's not just about what do I think is right and wrong, and maybe get a consensus around that. I'll give you, I mean, it sounds a little abstract, so I'll give you another concrete example. There was one of our, we have a brewery in Los Angeles. It's called Angel City. It's a sort of a craft beer incubator. It's an innovative thing that we're doing, and the guy who runs it wanted to come out with a very hoppy beer. And he had this killer name that he thought was just awesome, and it was called Hop Slut. And it was edgy, you know, and I didn't quite like it. But and half of my company is women. And it's business and practicalities and moral aren't that far apart. So I just called some of the women that have been with us for a number of years that I know, and I knew they would give me an honest opinion, and they said, it doesn't make me feel good. I just don't like that. And so went back and told them, no, you can't do it. Half the company is going to be uncomfortable with it. And it's a little bit, it really doesn't meet our standards. So it's difficult, but I didn't make the decision. You know, I got input from other people, because your own people have very good moral compasses too. And if they're all uncomfortable, even if it's a business opportunity, it's going to degrade your effectiveness as a company.
That's helpful. You said earlier about how you get things done for people, and the people who are providing the service are going to have their moral compasses as well. They need to participate in those.
Yeah, you need them. You need them on board.
I think there's a question over here, and then there was someone in the front row up here.
Thanks for being here. You are a fabulous speaker and the best one I've heard through the SBA program this week.
Well, see, I don't do it sober. There's a lesson there.
You spoke to the importance of culture, particularly for your business and your way of doing business. Would you share with us how you maintain that culture in your company as you've grown, and then how you really bring that culture to those who don't work in the office every day, particularly salespeople that are out extending that culture to your customers, but aren't around you every day of the week?
Two good questions. The first one, how do you maintain the culture? I mean, I'll just tell you, give you an example of something that's really important to me as we maintain the culture. Everybody that we hire comes to orientation. I mean, typically it's in Boston. Typically it's a week. It's not training. It is orientation. It is learning about the mission, the values, the culture of the goals of the company. And everybody remembers their first day at a new job. At least that's my impression. And so their first day, when they come in, it is not filling out forms. It is not learning about, you know, accounting and stuff like that. The first 9 o'clock, first morning, first day with the company, I spend 2 hours with them. And I have a presentation. I've been giving it for 25 years. It's about the mission, history, culture, and values of the company. So they will spend their first 2, sometimes 2.5 hours with me, because I want that to be their first impression of who we are and what we are. And then they'll have other people. Our CEO comes after me. He talks about the company's strategy and where we're going, how we're going to get there, some of the tactics. So the first 2 people are the founder and then the CEO. And then that carries them till lunchtime. Then they have a couple other people. And then when they're done, we do, which is typically about 5:30, I'll spend another 3 hours with them doing a beer tasting. And we will go through 25 or 30, we make 60 beers in a given year. So we'll have 25 or 30 of different Sam Adams beers. And I will walk them through all of those beers, give them the history of the ingredients, the flavor profile, some simple descriptors around the beer. But that's to convey to them our passion for our product. And so, for me, it's a long day. It's 8:30. But that's absolutely crucial. So for their first day, they will spend 5.5 to 6 hours with me, most of it spent drinking beer. That's a culture infusion at about a 0.06% blood alcohol. And then you had the second question was how do you convey that culture out to the salespeople? And the only way I know how to do that is just put yourself on the road. To this day, I will spend a day or two a week working in markets with our salespeople. I mean, this week I worked the Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale market, and I worked the DC market. And that's hard because there's a lot of crap in the office that demands your attention, and it's just hard 30 years into it. I mean, I've got way more miles on most airlines than their flight attendants. I mean, literally. And it's quite demanding. I don't know any shortcuts to that, but it's the essence of leadership that you're going to get out there with them and you're going to do their job with them. And what I've discovered, I guess, two things is once you do that, it's the best source of information because you're in front of customers and for us distributors and salespeople, and it's the best quality information. Market research, focus groups, reports don't hold a candle to just 100 days a year in the market talking to people. And second, all that stuff that you thought was important back in the office, if you don't do it, somebody will step up. They'll do it. And you're replaceable there. You're really not replaceable out with the salespeople and the customers. That's what drives the business.
I know we had a question right here in the front row.
The question was, you talked about the importance of people in your organization, and I wanted to know, when you were still small, how you attracted executives into the company who, I would imagine, worked for your competitors that were much larger and a much more stable, big company. So how did you go about attracting that next level of talent?
Well, in the very beginning, we just couldn't, so I had to supply it. Honestly, it was not so hard because, I guess the answer is you got to make yourself attractive. You want to attract it, there's no magic bullet. People aren't stupid. They're going to go to an attractive company. So you got to make it attractive. We were lucky because we make beer. That's kind of fun. We were growing. But even we had a period of 7 years where we hardly grew at all. There was a bunch of reasons for it. But we could still attract great people, I guess, because we always, even when we weren't growing and everybody else was, we just always had the mentality of we're the best, we're the winners. And people want to go where, the kind of people you want to go to companies that view themselves as the best, that view themselves as winners, that act that way. Because the really high quality companies may not be growing, but they don't bleed their people out. It's hard to pry people out of really good companies. So I guess just you have to think about, well, what do I do to be attractive to really high quality people? I got to be innovative, I've got to be exciting, I've got to have passion, I've got to have commitment. You got to model the behavior that you want in the people that you're hiring, and they'll come. And we also, I did believe in, sort of over-hiring in terms of, particularly for senior people. Senior people can make a huge difference. If you got the right person, you don't have to overpay. The people you want are not coin operated. The people that are coin operated, you don't want, because somebody will overpay them. So you don't want people that are motivated by simply money. because they're gone. I mean, you see their resumes. They have, they've been in 5 jobs in the last 10 years. They spend 2 or 3 years in a job, and then they hop because somebody offers them 10 or 15% more money. You don't want that person. They may look great. You don't want them. Does that answer? Yes.
I know we're starting to run out of time here. I have as a communications guy myself, I have a communications question for you. Your lager won an award 3 months into the start. How important is promotion and marketing and advertising for a business like yours? And would you recommend it to folks to do it?
You're probably not going to like this answer. I'm not a big fan of what everybody thinks of as marketing and promotion and advertising. I have an analogy that I probably can't use because it's too public, but let me just put it that way. I'm not a big fan of it. We did not hire a single marketing person for 10 years. We were 10 years into this. We hired our first marketing person in 1994. So we'd become quite successful without a single marketing person. We didn't have anybody. So I think it's way overrated. To me, you're better off spending that time, effort, money on product and on selling. Selling, I believe in. We're this weird company in the beer business because we're 1% market share. We have 400 salespeople. Anheuser-Busch is 50% market share. They have 400 salespeople. So we're just way out of proportion. We're like this infant, this tiny baby with a 40-pound head. It's weird. To me, selling, getting in front of real customers, that drives the business a lot. Now, that being said, if you win an award, I think those are meaningful. I mean, everybody here won an award in their state. There was a lot of competition. You earned it, and it's pretty cool. And for that kind of thing, yes, it's very meaningful. I would put that up, and not just for the external world, but as importantly for your own people. People want to be proud of what they do when they come to work every day, and when you get recognized. We got picked, Fred's alluding to. It's actually 6 weeks after we hit the market, we got picked as the best beer in America. The company was 2 people. We put that on everything. That was pretty, yeah. Now, everything meant little table tents in bars. Those little things you see when you go into those paper things, that was our entire advertising, marketing, promotional budget. But we put those table tents up everywhere they'd allow us to do it, in some places that they wouldn't. I used to put them up in the men's room. So as I know, everybody eventually ends up there. No matter how good your beer is, that's where it's going.
Well, now we're about to celebrate the winners.
Great. That's very cool.
If you have a moment, Jim, we'd love to have you stay here, and maybe as the winners come up, pose for some photos of the winners.
Congratulations to all you guys. I never won this, so I'm in awe. Congratulations.
Well, thank you for that.
Sorry we couldn't get you.
My pleasure.
So without further ado, I would like to call up the Small Business Administration's Chief of Staff, Michelle Chang, up to the stage to start the presentation. And then Jim will stand over here.
That's good questions. Thank you.
Sure you don't want to finish that beer? It's just going to go to waste.
I don't chug it. It's Sam Adams. You savor it. And don't worry, I can make more.
Good point.
All right. Thank you, Fred, and thank you, Jim, for sticking around as we honor our amazing award winners. Now it's time for our state small business awards. These awards honor a small business owner in each state who creates jobs, produces revenue, lifts local economies, supports the local infrastructure, and gives back charitably to the communities that they live and work in. So ladies and gentlemen, our state small business award winners, beginning with Alabama.
Alabama. Harvey Nix, Proventix Systems, Inc. Alaska. Gina and John Valdivias, House of Bread, Anchorage. Arizona. Cynthia Miracle Reed, Miracle. Arkansas. John Michael Garinger and Paul Arthur Riesnitz, Custom Aircraft Cabinets, Inc. California. Ricardo Robles, Pablo Rene Robles, and Jacqueline Robles. Anita's Mexican Food Court. Colorado, Jan Erickson, Janska, LLC. Connecticut, Max Cothery and Roger Mata. Express Countertops, Kitchen and Flooring, LLC. Delaware, Marion R. Young and Mark A. Lannick, Whitefields, Inc. District of Columbia, Lakeisha Grant, Virtual Enterprise Architects. Florida, Amir A. Rashovi, Green Technologies, LLC. Georgia, Yusak Van Bernard and Jeffrey Allen Manley, Tailspin. Guam, Thomas Shea, MD, Dr. Shea's Clinic. Hawaii, Dave Ardeman, Packrim Marketing Group, and PR Tech LLC. Idaho, Gary B. Multinen, Susan A. Multinen, Megan L. Multinen, and J. M. Multinen, Best Bath Systems, Inc. Illinois, Elizabeth Colin, Metaphrases Language and Cultural Solutions, LLC. Indiana, Mike Sooth, Hoosier Spring Company, Inc. Iowa, Mary Connell, Air Control, Inc. Kansas, Alex Harr, Ribbit Computers, LLC. Kentucky, Tommy Ray, Cornett, Bleed Blue, Tattoo and Piercing, Inc. Louisiana, Keith DeRusso, Keelan Construction, LLC. Maine, Alan Spear and Mary Allen Ledman, Coffee by Design. Maryland. Stephanie Novak, Howe. Chesapeake Environmental Management, Inc. Massachusetts, Valerie Bono, Maria Malloy, Eric Briziani, and Edwin Briziani, Golden Cannoli. Michigan, Michael O. Nevins, Full Spectrum Solutions, Inc. Minnesota, Scott H. Orzeka, NetGain Technology, Inc. Mississippi, Bruce Ramesh Patel, Fusion Hospitality. Missouri, Nielsen Goias, Ph.D., Infinite Energy Construction, Inc. Montana, W. Randolph Hafer and Jana Sue Hafer, High Plains Architects. Nebraska, Douglas Garwood and Scott Garwood, Garwood Enterprise, Inc., DBA Cardinal Farms. Nevada, Gerard and Season Lopiccolo, and Michael Thomas, Noble Studios. New Hampshire, Chris Licata, Blake's All Natural Foods. New Jersey, Curran K. Gill, PARS Environmental, Inc. New Mexico, Michelle Shelley Herbst, Moran and Associates, Inc. North Carolina, Andrew Kratz and Joe Grable, Triangle Rock Club. North Carolina, Andrew Kratz and Joe Grable, Triangle Rock Club. Ohio, Michelle Therese Kerr, Oxford Consulting Group. Oklahoma, William Larry Mocha, EBSCO, Inc. Oregon, William Charles Taylor and Brooklyn Ann Harvey Taylor, Pacifica. Pennsylvania, Michael Charrock, AE Works. Puerto Rico, Iniel Torres Ojeda, Proto dos la Finca, Inc. Rhode Island, Lisa Patilia, Pranzi Catering and Events. South Carolina, Nancy Porter Ogborn, Tomato Palms, LLC. South Dakota, Ryan McFarland, Strider Sports International, Inc. Tennessee, Tracy Solomon, Tevet LLC. Texas, Gregory R. Hudson, Genesis Concepts and Consultants. Utah, Sandeep Shamar, Global Consulting International, Inc. Vermont, Bill Cherry and Jeff Nieblum, Switchback Brewing Company. Virginia, Kevin L. Knight, Knight Solutions. Washington, Fred Schewel and Paul Clark, Cobalt Enterprises, Inc. West Virginia, Kenneth H. Ullman II, PracticeLink.com, and Mountainplex Properties. Wisconsin, Thomas Jaggerman and Ralph Hart, Jaggerman Stamping Company. Wyoming, Jennifer C. Merrill, Merrill, Inc.
All right, congratulations to all of our winners. Let's give everyone another round of applause. All right, moving on. Our next award goes to the SBA's Exporter of the Year, a small business owner that has successfully taken his or her business global by expanding their customer base to countries beyond our borders. This year, our award winner is a woman who founded a company whose tiny customers just need a comfortable place to rest their head. Baby Elephant Ears is a multi-use soft headrest for newborns. The pillows provide spinal and neck alignment as well as comfort. They are ethically manufactured and made with sustainable materials. As a mother of a 2-year-old myself, I can truly appreciate a product that will make nap time easier. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our Exporter of the Year is Alicia Overby of Baby Elephant Ears. Now it's my honor to introduce the top 3 small businesses of the year. Founded in 1991, her company has seen rapid growth in the past few years after participating in SBA's 8A Business Development Program and our Surety Bonds program. Her company now employs a year-round workforce of 26 people and has secured countless of contracting opportunities with the help of the SBA. Ladies and gentlemen, our second runner-up is Jennifer Merrill, the president of Merrill, Inc. And now on to our first runner-up. This family-owned business dates back to 1958 when it was founded as a flour tortilla manufacturer. Today, the company remains in the family, and we are excited to honor its owners today. In 2012, the business faced a crossroads and needed to grow their operations. In order to support the dramatic expansion, the company acquired an SBA 504 loan that helped them grow over 100% in the last 3 years. Their loan helped them increase their employee count from 230 people in 2012 to 359 people today. Please join me in congratulating Ricardo, Pablo, and Jackie Robles of Anita's Mexican Food Corp. As this year's first runner-up. And now to the moment we've all been waiting for, our National Small Business Person of the Year. If we can all draw our attention to the screen, the video is going to reveal the winner.
Pacific has been around for 15 years. Pacific has been around for 15 years. We started as a candle company, as a fragrance company, gradually moved those concepts into personal perfumes, bath and body products, and now color cosmetics and skincare. We started Pacifica in the kitchen, took the concepts to a gift trade show in San Francisco, came home with $100,000 worth of orders, and then had to figure out how to manufacture the products. We put a very strong emphasis on making fragrance products that are decent and don't utilize a lot of bad chemicals that are commonly utilized in that industry. And as we've moved into skincare and cosmetics and more personal items, we're very intense about the quality of the ingredients and utilizing natural ingredients to achieve the best possible results you can with makeup. We couldn't have accomplished what we've accomplished over the last few years, which is essentially taking the Pacifica brand into new categories like beauty without the SBA credit facility. It was absolutely essential. It was also a very secure credit facility for Brooke and I to get growth capital, get working capital, and continue to grow our company. We started Pacifica because we loved ideas, and we loved being able to just do whatever our ideas were in the purest way and getting them out to consumers in the simplest, purest way. Today, that's still the best part of Pacifica for me, is the ideas, the concepts behind the brand, the names that we come up with for the products. Brooke is really the visionary for what Pacifica can be and can possibly be. I usually kind of help her with the architecture of building that out a little bit. But that's the best part, is working together creatively with my wife and driving the company from that creative point of view. But what's really important to Brooke and I about anything that we do is kind of why we're doing it, our values. And our values are really founded in taking care of the environment, taking good care of your kids, taking good care of the place where you live. So when we do Pacifica, everything that we do in Pacifica, we take those values into consideration.
Gentlemen, our National Small Business People of the Year. Congratulations.
Well, what an honor in this group of people to receive an award like this. It's truly humbling and obviously a little overwhelming for me. I don't know, I'm kind of blown away. I would never have expected this. But, you all know how hard you work, how much you put into things emotionally, and, a lot of you have built businesses around family. It's a big deal, and, and Pacifica just took off, and it was just, this easy ride for 10 years. We never needed capital. We started with nothing. The next thing you know, we had 20 employees, 50, 100, over 100. Went to, 8-figure income for the company within 10 years with no outside capital, nothing, just Brooke and I. Great product ideas, sincerity, honesty. I really appreciated Ed Cox's presentation, because that's what that was about. It's like, I'm going to make the best product I can and put it out there. I don't need a marketing department. We just got to go sell it. Very similar set of values at Pacifica. But when the economy changed, 07, 08, 09, everything changed for us. We went from, our revenues declined, our cost of doing business just got out of control and just went up and up. And for the first time in the history of our company, around 2009, 2010, we needed outside capital to kind of take the brand into new categories, like I was blabbering on about in that video. And you know what? We weren't bankable at that point. We're losing money. We were struggling. And, in our case, I mean, like many of you entrepreneurial companies, that's everything you have is in that company. So clearly, you know, I went from never even thinking about risks to thinking like it's all about risk now. So we weren't really bankable. We, you know, went through this very painful process that I'm sure many of you have been through of trying to seek out bank financing. And finally, Umpqua Bank of Oregon, with the backing of the SBA, presented a credit facility to us that, you know, was exactly what we needed. It was also very secure credit, as many of you may know, when you're compromised or you have, you know, kind of some cash flow issues and this and that, you may qualify for certain types of managed credit, which are not very good and healthy for business anyhow. So the SBA came through, and you know that saying like a bank's always got an umbrella for you on a sunny day. Well, you know what? The SBA and Umpqua, you know, they came through with an umbrella for us on a very rainy day, revitalized our company. We took that capital, we expanded, you know, into new categories, took our, you know, stayed to our ideas, stayed true to our brand, went out there and, you know, just kind of redid everything. And resourcefully, I mean, it wasn't like we had, you know, jillions of dollars to go spend on marketing, which we never did. We still don't have a marketing department at Pacifica. And we're in everywhere from Whole Foods to Target to Ulta to specialty natural products everywhere. And, you know, I have nothing but gratitude for, you know, what's happened, and receiving this award is kind of overwhelming. But, you know, I got to say that, you know, this is, you're the people who make this country the land of opportunity that it is. It's about people who step up there, they're fierce, they have courage, they act on what they believe in and their instincts. So with that, thank you, SBA, and what an honor.
Congratulations again. That's Portland, Oregon's Billy Taylor and his wife, Brooke Harvey Taylor of Pacifica Candle and Fragrance Company. And now, this concludes our lunch awards presentation. We do hope that you'll stick around. After this, we do have 2 breakout panels, and we are continuing to have business matchmaking that will happen this afternoon, so we hope that you will join us for that. Have a great afternoon, and happy National Small Business Week.